reports, the generate report, you'll see that there's options to report by enterprise or by practice. I think you guys are one enterprise, one practice, are you not?
Correct.
So you're going to do all of your reporting at the practice level. It's just a little bit easier on the system than if it thinks it's got to look out for multiple enterprises. So always generate reports by practice and then enterprise. In fact, you can set the preferences in system admin so the people who are running these reports would only do it by practice and not by enterprise.
Okay.
Select that. It's going to open up a window. It takes a second here to open up. If you've done any reporting in EPM, this is very similar in EHR, except that you're looking for clinical information. So the columns on the left, some of them are actually reflect the modules that we can report on, like the allergy module, the diagnosis list, patient's problem list, medication module, orders module, procedures and templates. All those represent our different sections that we can report on. And then some of the others are things like filters and sorting and totals and all that, and ways we can do it, and columns being what we're going to display. So they're kind of mixed together, which is a little bit confusing in a way. But you can report basically on anything you need to. You can find all of your patients who have a particular diagnosis. You can do all the patients who are on a particular medication, if you had a recall on a medication, for example. You can find all the patients who have outstanding orders. You could report if you have a lab interface, radiology interface, either one. You could report on, labs at least. You could report on results of labs, who's got a hemoglobin A1C that's greater than 6.5, that sort of thing. So you can do all kinds of reporting. In addition, you can do other complex reporting, so you can do some layering. You could say, bring in all my patients who have a diagnosis of diabetes or hypertension and show me what their latest lipid values were, if you have the lab interface. So all kinds of good information you can report on. Anything that's contained in allergies, meds, the order module where you're receiving results, procedures that have been billed, templates, anything you've documented on a template. All those are available to report on. So it's pretty rich. If you want to do a little sample one, for example, I'm going to let you drive here, Karen. If we selected medication, for example, let's suppose there was a recall on a medication, and you want to find all your patients who are on a particular medication. You've got this medication search window here. You've also got a medication filter. We're going to go through the search first. You can include or exclude people who have never had or have ever had within a certain time frame. Or if you just want to know everybody who's on it, go to the little three-dot button there, right below that. And that'll bring up a lookup. So you can look up by, show me all the people that have a controlled substance, a DEA class, whatever, or a particular class of drugs. Or in this case, if it was a recall, just type in the name of the drug. And you tell me some drugs that a lot of your patients take. You have a lot of people on lisinopril or glucophage or some kind of birth control or whatever. You could type in the name. Lipitor, if you've got if your providers, prescribe that a lot. And just say search to the right, and it'll bring up all Lipitor, and the plus sign to the next of Lipitor would show you all the various strengths. So if it applies to all of them, you just move them all over using the double arrow in the middle there to say, I'm going to move over. That just brings over all of them at once. Perfect. And then you can say, okay, so that's going to bring them all in. And down at the bottom, I want active patient meds only. I don't want to know people who've discontinued it. So you could say, just bring in the ones who are actively on it. Do you see where it says active patient med? And you say active. So we're not getting all. And the number of medications, you can put in there greater than 0. That sometimes helps a little bit. I found that sometimes if greater than 0 lets them know we're looking for anyone who has this. You don't have to. And then I wouldn't do the no active meds or audit type. We'll talk about those later. So once you've selected your criteria, go over to the left to columns. That's really, we always go to columns last, because columns is going to afford us what things do you want to report on. By default, all of these things down that have to do with patient identifier are already checked. If you hit the very top checkbox, that plain one, and check everything and then uncheck everything. It makes it a little bit easier. You can go select, well, I'd want to know the patient's last name. You check that, and first name, and their date of birth, so I can find them in the system here. I want to know, maybe their address or their phone number. Maybe I'm going to call them, or maybe I'm going to send a letter to them. If it's a letter, you're going to get their address information. If you just need to know a number where you can call them, you can just put in their phone number. And then, because these are going to be the columns in your report. And then you want that, maybe a start date for when they started taking it, or possibly even the dose that they take. So anything like that that's going to help you with it. That's it. Real simple. And then, and then just say okay. That's going to give you a real simplistic little report here, but it would be a good one. Take a moment to run. So it's going to give you a list. Here's all your patients who are on Lipitor. There's all their names in alphabetical order by last name. I'm sorry?
I said it's quite a few people.
It's quite a few people. So in this case, looking at that, I might go, you know what? I think I want to just do send them a letter. I'll just send one mass letter to everybody saying, as you may be aware, Lipitor has been withdrawn by the FDA, and therefore we want to, you contact our office, and we will arrange for a different medication for you to use. And so you could use a mail merge if you've ever done between Excel and Word. You can create a mail merge document that would plug in the patient's name and address and their start date and what strength they're on and all that. It would be a real simple mail merge document. You create the document in Word, and then this can be exported out to Excel, and then just create your address labels and your fill in the blanks on the report with it. So yeah, that's the one to export to Excel. So if this is exactly the way you want it, if this is not exactly the way you want it, then you would go back up. The fourth icon from the left, that one, you were just on it, report filter. That's where you can go back and modify this more. So you can say, well, give me instead their full address and take out their phone number, because I'm not going to call this many people. I'm just going to have them call me. Yeah. And then that would probably work a little bit better. Yeah, say okay. And then you could, you have all the information you need for sending out sending out a letter to the patient and saying, hey, our records show you are on Lipitor 20 milligrams or 10 milligrams or whatever cents, and you don't have to use the date if you don't want to, but that would be one way of doing it. Does that look like that would be helpful?
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. So that's a simple example of, and because that when Vioxx was withdrawn off the market several years ago, we had clients contacting NextGen saying, we know we have patients still on Vioxx, we just don't know who they are. How can we mine the database? And at that time, we didn't have this report tool. So NextGen had to create a crystal report and then send it out to any clients who wanted it, and they could run it against their database. But that took more time. This would just be instantaneous. Boom. We've got everybody. So cool. So we'll close that one and go back and do a different report maybe now.
So close.
You get the idea of how that one would work?
Yeah.
Yeah. Then just go up to File and again Report, Generate Report by Practice. Question?
Well, Ray, you were saying something?
No, not yet. Let's finish.
Okay. If you wanted to do something that was, let's see. Show me all of my females greater than 40 who and their last mammogram date. We're going to figure out who hasn't had a mammogram that we have recorded or who hasn't had one recently. So you could do that by going to the patient section and pulling in by age and gender. You could pull in my females. Show me all my females, and then age greater than 40, I think would be fine, yeah. So whichever one you want to do first. Gender, female, equal, gender equals, and then just, I think female actually is the way they're reading it. Wish it gave you the word. Yeah. And then age would give you their current age, greater than 40. Just type in 40. I think it's 40. Don't have to put in years or anything. And then you could go over to our template list on the left, and you could pull in the field where mammogram, last date of mammogram is held. I think it's under health maintenance. So you'd find the name of your template, and if you've done any template editing or know anything about it, you'll find it's called health maintenance or health mate. I may have to look at those. There's just an example of one. Then you start just typing in health mate. There it is. So it's called health mate, and you check that checkbox in front of it, and then it brings up a list of all the fields that appear on there. So you would go down there and find the field for, I don't know whether it's date last mammogram or last date mammogram or memo last date, but it's one of those. And I think you just scroll on down. That's a reference memo, but that's not it.
This is for the 17th.
Keep going on down. I think it's going to be under bone density due date. That would be one that you could report on too. But we're going to keep going down. I think we'll find it under either date last or last date. It's not going to be under. I think it's going to be under breast. I think it's going to be under last. Whoa. Back up there. Last colonoscopy. Last. Yeah, last. I don't know what C-date mammogram is. That might or might not give us information. You could try that one. You know, hit check mark on that. Completed date mammogram probably is what that is, but there's some others there. Mammo due date, you could pull that one in too. Yep. Might have a due date on some, and see what else is down there. Mammogram comp, I think that's a checkbox. I think that's a checkbox for completed or not, but that might not.
Sit down.
Yeah, I think that wouldn't give you what you want. Yeah, you've probably got it between those two, one or the other of them. And then the last place you would, let's see, this one we might have to go into, I think we'll be okay. We'll do that. Go over on the columns on the left, because I always go to columns last. And the things I want to cover in here are, I'm going to uncheck all and then check all. Makes it a little bit easier. There you go. Last name, first name, date of birth, maybe. And their age, if you want to. And then mainly their those last two down there, the C-date, last C-date mammogram and mammo due date. We'll see what all displays on there. So the very last two items on the list are the ones those were not there until we went and picked out the criteria we wanted to use. So the very last ones on the list, yeah, those last two, we're going to pull those in as columns and see what appears. I'm sure you've got some patients in here. Click both of those bottom ones there. We'll see which one is which. Yeah. Say okay. And just see what happens. And we didn't actually get anything on that one. So those are probably not the right fields. What we would have to do is go look and see where the mammograms are actually captured in the EHR to find out what field name we're really looking for. It may not be on, that may be an old obsolete field. What version of KBM are you running? Do you know?
What version are we on?
KBM version, it's a 7.
Are you on 7.9?
7.9.2, yeah.
7.92?
Yes.
Yeah, it's probably not carried anymore on this. It's probably carried in your protocols. So we could go look in a test patient's chart and see what that field is called so we could report on it. But that's the idea. If you know the name of the field you want to report on, you have to know a little bit about templating, understand that there's tables and then there's fields within those tables. It's not a lot to know, but if you've had any orientation to it, which I think you guys have, then you can kind of look at those fields. And actually, if you'll close this one right here, Karen, for us.
Yeah.
And let's just pull up a test patient, someone there, and we can go look and see where you're actually capturing that information. If you have a female, that would be good. Looks like you've got a female there. And you could go just open up one of her past encounters there and look and see. Actually, you've got OB-GYN there. That's not bad, but does she have any family practice, maybe stuff? Yeah. Protocols. Go into protocols here. Looks like you've been using it. So cool. And you actually have. See that line? You had a line there for mammogram.
Yeah, I saw it.
Popped up when we first opened. Yeah. A little further down.
There it is.
There it is. Okay, so if you open up that single line, double click on it, we can see then where that information is being captured. So there's a last date done, well actually last completed on the bottom line. Do you see down there that white field in there?
This one?
Right to the right of it. Just to the right of that one.
Here.
No, the one that says date. 2 over. Right there. Yeah, that would be your last completed date. Of course, you know, or you could do it based on the due date, whichever you want to do. Next due, or there's a next due date, there's a recommended due date, which probably is what you would have filled out on anyone you've got protocols on. So, yeah, to find out what the names of the fields are, you actually need to close this and go up to View and Show Field Names. You can close that for the moment. No, or whatever. And then View, the very top, you hit the top menu, View, and Show Field Names. Yeah, when you check that, now when you open up that mammogram, we'll see it. Sometimes it'll pop up, we can see it, sometimes we can't. And then highlight, just hang over one of those, like the due date there. Yeah, that's order completed date. That wouldn't help us. What about the one above there for recommended? If you hover over that one. Order, see, these are all reading from the order table. That won't help me. Look at the next due date then, maybe over to the left. See what it is. I don't think any of these are specific to mammograms. It's a problem. Order appointment date, yeah. So these are actually using the same field over and over again for any test. So that would have to be where the test equals whatever mammogram is up there and the next due date. So I don't think we can actually report on those like we once could. I was thinking they still got updated to health maintenance, but perhaps they do not. I don't keep up with that, you know, where everything's stored anymore. You know, once upon a time, this was easy to report on. So we might not have that quite as easily available as I had hoped. I'm kind of wondering if they actually do get saved. If you put just this is the test patient, go in there, do last completed, just click on that checkbox down the bottom. Last completed, yeah, puts in today's date, save it, close it. And I'm just curious to know if it updates. Now on left navigation, I don't know if you can get to health maintenance this way anymore or not. I don't think so, but not listed there anymore. Yeah, protocols is where we were though.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. So actually, if you open up the history bar, the history icon there, and go over, I'm just curious, go over to your templates list on the down at the bottom, and look for the table called Health Mate, and let's see if it's in there at all. I'm just curious because if we opened it up, we'd see at least whether it's getting captured there or not. There's got to be a way where you capture when it's last done. Go up a little bit there. Nope, it's not available anymore. That's what I was afraid of. Yep. So somehow those are being captured, but to try to find them where it says order and last, and it's because it's all tests are using the same field. Don't really know how they're storing those behind the scenes. Some way it's being done. So
this is actually one of the reports that we do want. So
okay, well,
yeah.
There's a good reporting catalog, and I've got it. I'm going to send it to you. Have you downloaded it from the website?
No.
Okay, it's got some good setup for how to do different reports, and I'm going to look at it right now and see if they've got one for exactly how to run a. We have male patients greater than 50 without a PSA ordered. We have some of the ones they do in here. See, pediatric diabetes risk management reports. They don't actually list that particular one. Patients per provider, lab orders, mail. Yeah, they don't actually. We have asthmatic patients who are smoker or exposed to secondhand smoke. We have percent of patients with high cholesterol or hypertension, diabetes risk report. And we've got a lot of them that are already built. But, yeah, the ones for reading the mammograms, since they're not being captured apparently on that place anymore. I'm not sure how we'll do that then. It's got to be a good place to capture that, because it's not just the orders that we want to keep track of. It's got to be being loaded somewhere when you do it, to say you've completed it. And actually, if we went into the patient's histories, we can go into histories at least.
Where?
Even from your intake over there, you can get to histories.
Oh, in here. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So in there, when we are doing your med-surg history, it's the, well, in the old history template, we had a link over there to get to testing. That's past diagnostics there, that blue link, that's where it is. Just below that grid where you're pointing to, past diagnostics in there. So when you come in here and you're saying you did a mammogram screening, see there it is? Where is that capturing? Double click on it, let's see what happens, because it's coming from still another place. It's coming from the order table also. So I think we're going to have to do it based on if the order equals mammogram, screening, or that code, and what the due date is, or last performed date is. Probably what we'd have to do. So that would be a logical report, I believe. We would have to do logical groupings, which is a little trickier. It's more the advanced stuff. So we can try that out and see if we can do it. So they're using the description, the order. If you highlight up there over the code field, maybe it'd be better. There's more than one code for mammogram screening, but it's usually this one, 77057.
Where is the code?
You see up there at the very top of the gray field?
Yeah.
You highlighted that field, Order Act code. Okay. So we're reporting on Order Act code equals 77057, and that the performed date, I think, probably is not equal to blank, probably. That would be on further down, the obtained, performed, placed a little bit right there. Obtained date. So I think that's what we would be covering on obtained date. That's probably where that mammogram, well, we had the mammogram on there. That was you hit the routine gen exam. Oh, that's the diagnosis, never mind.
So we would look at this code for mammogram, and then the performed
obtained date, I think. Yeah, I'm not sure obtained is really the one we want, though. I'm kind of questioning if I documented I did this, where does it capture? Actually, let's just do that. Let's just say you performed it today. Yep. And actually, right up at the top right, you have to say completed. You have to do the completed top right instead of performed. Completed. So maybe that date right there. See what that one is? Completed date. I bet you that one's it. I'm writing these down so we'll remember. Now, if you hit, I don't want to really submit to Superbill, but just save it. Just save it. That's fine. And close it. Then I think save and close again. Just on the bottom, save and close. So probably when we go back to protocols now, we may find that one is marked as done. And let's see if it is. Should be reading each other. Best of luck.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's showing. Okay, so it's showing last completed, and so I think that is the completed one we want. Yeah. Yeah, so I think we could do that. Yeah, so any female greater than 50 who doesn't the completed date is blank, or
right,
or greater, less than 6 months ago. Sorry, a year ago, or something like that. Excuse me, that gets more complex. So let's try it out anyway.
So if we wanted to report on this one, next due.
Next due, you could do that. Because I think next due is populated even if you don't. Yeah, so next due, you could say, find anyone who's, it's either next due is greater than today or blank, because we didn't set up a protocol. I want to know about that.
Okay, so should we try it then?
Yeah, let's try it. Let's close that one. And go to File and Reports, and we're going to generate report by practice. You get the idea? Good. And we're going to filter by our patients, which patients we want. And we want those who are female. And again, I'm not sure it's going to be capital, female, capital F, and, just alone or one female.
Okay.
So, since it's usually documented in the EHR as just capital F, I think we probably ought to use that. So let's use 40, greater than 40. Let's use just the word, just the letter capital F. Yeah, I think that would be the safest, because that's where most of them are.
Okay.
And then we'll go over to the templates to capture this information. So we want the order template. So you're going to search by template name of order. And just go ahead and type in order, because it's a whole lot to start with. Yeah, there you go. That's it. It's orders. Top one, order is correct. All right. One that says orders too. Click on that checkbox for the order at the top. There you go. And so we're going to pick the ACT code, where you see that one. And we're going to pick that order completed date, so it's going to be down under the C's. Order, and then completed date. Completed date, right there. And then we're going to do a little bit of filtering. So, and then we're not going to do all selected tables and table record. I'm not sure if this complex report's going to work, but we're going to try it. Go over to your filters over on the left. Until you have these fields selected, you can't filter by anything. So we're going to say the ACT code is equal, and then type out there to the right, 77057. Good. And the completed date is, let's see how we can do. Not on our, let's see, completed date is let's see, what do I want? We also talked about the next due, didn't we?
Yeah.
I thought you wanted to run the report for the next due.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's just see if this one works first.
Yeah, we can try this one first, yeah. So, completed date was before, and then we'll do a date 6 months ago. You can do it between, but I think before. Completed date was before, and then you do a time range. Or before, and then pick a date a year ago, maybe. You can just click down on your arrow there, your year, 2012. You can just click right on it and go down. 2011. So give me one since, it hadn't been done since a year ago.
Okay.
Okay, completed date was not done then. Yeah.
I didn't.
Oops, it didn't take, I don't think. 2011. And you might want to, make it January or February, something earlier, February 1st maybe. So you catch the people who just been a little over a year. Or that you haven't seen them yet. But anyway, just click on the day that you want. On the calendar. There you go. I think you got it. There you go. 2/1/2011. Good. All right, and then go to your columns and pick out what you want to report on. So this is a good way to do it. We're going to get and check them all there. What their names and their date of birth and their ACT code and completed date. Don't really have to have the ACT code, but let's just see what comes up here if we do that. Say okay. And we may have to go back to logical groupings to get this to work. But give it a moment here.
Oh, you got something.
Yeah, there you go. Okay. Yeah, so you've got some of them with a completed date that was, some of them are blank, and then some of them are completed within the, back more than a year ago. Yeah.
Okay.
Make sure you don't have duplicate patients in there, though. That could be, see, I'm looking, like where I see a bunch of Andrews and Andersons, whatever. Like Andrew, Shireen is in there several times. So we might have to go back and do something with it, make it a unique list. I think we can do, because you've got duplicates on there. Yeah.
Yeah, same date of birth.
Yeah, it's the same patient, because they were seen multiple times. It's bringing them in multiple times. So I think if we go back up to your little filter, and we go to sort, I think we can do it under sorting. Let's see. No, actually, go back to patient. Go back to patient. There we go, and do redo. Just want to list single time. I think there would be a way to do that over here. Not in there. And under sorting, there wasn't anything. Under filter, I don't think there'll be anything under there. Yeah, go back to filter. There's one of them, at least it'll say last encounter or something like that. Nope, not in here. Selected field. On a lot of these filters, you can say, you know, only show me the most recent, like most recent lab with most recent blood pressure or whatever. And down there on selected fields, select fields, I'm not sure we can do anything with that, but the drop-down box here on the screen, yeah, see if there's anything there. Select fields, no, can't do that, okay. You might just have to filter, you might just have to manually filter them out, which you can do
in Excel.
In Excel, easier than you can do it in here. You know. Yeah, I think there's a way to filter out the unique, and make them unique ones. Anyway, but then if that's one that you like, you could memorize it and run it again.
Can we try it by the due date?
Sure, let's try it by the due date. Mammogram due on, yeah. So, do I want to close this one then? And do your, actually pull up open your same page. Do you remember what the date, what field was there where we showed her next due? If you look at protocols over there, we should see it. Next due. That field is called wherever you find it. And you have to double click on one of the line items to do it. Yeah. And next due is called appointment date. Okay, order appointment date. Okay, so we go back and do one here. Yeah. Okay, and your
patient.
Gender. Apparently that did a good job with the F, equals F, took care of that female. And we said age greater than 40. And
I think
good,
we had here. Then we went to
Templates.
You got it. Order is what we're looking for. There you go. And then you're looking for the ACT code.
Or direct code.
And that's it. And then the order
Completed date.
appointment date, yeah.
Okay.
Be a little further down, yeah. There you go, appointment date. Good. And we're going to do a filtering, remember?
Sorry.
That's okay, that's okay. This is how you learn.
Quick fingers.
I always learn more from my mistakes than from my successes.
Oh, come on.
Well, you're going to have a big report here.
Yeah, I didn't filter anything.
It's okay. And this is a little bit of a hit against the database. If you have to run a lot of reporting, it's better to run them at night, you know, when people are not on the system or first thing in the morning where they're all up and working, because it is a little bit of a hit and maybe slowing down other users' performance. So just keep that in mind. But doing it at the practice level is a little less of a hit than if you do it at the enterprise level.
This looks like a medical office.
Here it is. We have to look at the top and see field.
Still hanging there, isn't it?
Yeah. We could do that one next.
You may decide you want to try to close that one if you can.
How do you, yeah, if you want to get out of it.
Can you get to the top X there at the top right? I don't know if it'll let you or not.
It's going to
In now, yep. It may shut down the EHR.
Yeah.
Definitely would shut down the reporting anyway. You want to think your way through it, and like I said, the last thing I do is the columns. I do filters, I do sorting, I do all kinds of things like that first. But then, my last place I go is the columns to pick out what I want to display, because I don't want every column on every patient.
Yeah, it's just because I was in the chart, and you have to click OK at the bottom before you go to.
Yeah, yeah. I want to teach you how to save these so you can run them again.
Absolutely.
Because there will be some of the performance measures that you want to do, on a regular basis like this. Shall mail my patients who have mammograms due in the next 3 months or whatever, or between these dates, I'll go ahead and notify them. Good. Yeah. Yeah, you don't have to have the patient open to do this.
Yeah. Go back here.
File and reports. Generate report by practice.
Yeah, because from the template, that's it's used.
And again, go into your patient. You get this down.
File maintenance.
Up and left.
Oh.
Got greater than 40. Got that. Good.
And then we.
And
Template.
yeah, let's order. I'll tell you, he knows how to do this. Return. ORDER. There you go. And code. That's the one. And then appointment date. Excellent. And then go to your filter. And we're going to do if the ACT code equals, and that 77057, and the appointment date is, and you could put a range in here between this date and this date in the next 3 months, something like that. You could do that between March 1st and May 1st or something. April, May, yeah. That'd be a much shorter one there, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
It's 2 months worth, yeah. And then go back to your columns, yeah. And select what you want to display. Last name, first name, date of birth. And I would do both of those. And by the way, you can right-click on where it says order_act code, and you could right-click on that and rename it. So you can rename these columns so they're easier to read.
Okay.
And you could say mammogram code or something like that. I don't know, whatever you want to call it. Or just leave it as it is if that's fine, if you know what it means. Same thing. So you can always right-click and rename any of these to make them look a little bit better. Yeah. And then, good. Say, okay, I don't think we need to do any sorting or grouping. You can do that with your sorting tab. This one should run a lot easier. Okay. So all of these, 2012, 0309, 0330. Oh, look at all those. That's a lovely report. Now, you do have some duplicates in there.
Right.
But there's not a way on these criteria to remove the duplicates. Yeah. On some of them, say, just show me the latest record only. Because that wouldn't be bad. And that's definitely all females, and they look like they were all a little, yep, about 40. Mm-hmm. Excellent. So if you want to memorize this, it's one you want to run again. So you go to the little save key. Now before you do that, that's okay, just leave this up. Go to file maintenance real quickly. You leave this up, it's okay. Just go down to your app launcher and open up file maintenance. We're going to create a report type here because the report types that are pre-built are all for EPM. We're going to create our own here that will save all of our reports in just for EHR. Whoops.
My fingers are just misbehaving. I'm sorry.
Oh, there you go. You're just fine. It says already running. It'll open up in just a moment. It just hadn't opened yet, I think.
Why is it?
Maybe. It's opening there, yeah. Or click on it and see. There you go. Now log in. And under Master File System EPM, it's there. No, it's under Practice EPM. My mistake. Practice EPM. There you go. Yeah. Report types. If you open that one up. And oh, you've already got some of them in there. Look at that. Cool. Go up to their little icon there, and I just create one called EHR Reports. New. I've already created some for ophthalmology, peds, physical medicine. I'm not sure what those are being used for, but cool. Okay, say okay, and close. And then that's all you had to do is just to have one so you can save this. So now back in our EHR down at the bottom, your little window for filing, you may have to hit it again, the memory, get memorized. Give it a name like mammograms due. Yeah, memos due, yeah. And report type would be then the EHR reports. Yeah. And who's allowed to run it, who's allowed to modify it, who's allowed to save it if you need to limit that, or you can just leave it as it is. So everybody could say okay. And now it's memorized. You can log out and I'll show you where you'll go to get it then thereafter. When you want to run that report, you'll go up to File and Reports, Report List, right below there. When you click on the report list, you'll select EHR Reports, and there's yours. And when you open it up, it'll be opening up in that builder look, so you can go change the date criteria.
Very nice.
So you can go in there and change your range of dates on your filter and say, now give me the ones between May 1st and July 1st or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's memorized to run again. The catalog, do you have that catalog, that report catalog from the NextGen, I think from the NextGen website, but I can email it to you, I think, if it's not too large.
Okay.
It really has some suggestions and kind of directions for how to build different reports that you may find helpful. It includes all the things that we're talking about here and what the different, how different parts of it work, because we're kind of short on time here. But it's got some real good suggestions of things you might want to create for yourself, like patients with positive smoking status. And so you could target those people for an educational program or something. So you'd be filtering by a template field that says whether tobacco equals yes or no, and range within the past year, something like that, getting those in. So it gives you step-by-step instructions on how to do those reports. I think it's pretty worthwhile. Some of them are better than others, but once you've done this, it'll make more sense anyway.
Is there anyone that can pull based on the EPM appointment date? Like if we want to look at something, but we just want to look at that, for instance, the mammo dues, but only for people who are scheduled to come in.
That aren't scheduled to come in. There are some fields you can report on. Hold on just a second. I'm going to grab this report here to give to Cindy all.
Okay.
Because it's I've already got my email open here to do it. It's the reports catalog. There we go. Sending that. Now I'm sending that to you. There are some things you can do as far as using EPM fields. If you go up again into your file, reports, generate report, we'll look at them, just so you can see some of those features in there by practice. There's one called patient chart. If you click on that one, these are the things we can bring in. So it's really more those things like, you know, homeless status and migrant worker type stuff that we get in EPM, or any, you know, client user-defined fields that you're using over there. But appointment status is not one of them, and I don't think it's available under patient either. So if you looked over there at patient, no, it's not available there. So that's not one we can cover. That's one that could be built in Crystal Report, so you could, you know, pull in all your patients who do not have an appointment in the next whatever time and that are due for a mammogram, and you could send those a letter.
Okay, so we
But yeah, it has to be done through Crystal.
We would have to build that one.
You'd have to build that one, yeah.
Or alternatively,
Sorry?
I said alternatively, when we are running the next day, we could narrow down the dates more. You know, the one we ran was for February to March, or if we narrow it down probably day 16th, February 16th through February 18th. It will kind of narrow it down some more to a particular date of service we want.
Right, certainly you can do that. Yes, you can narrow it down to whatever, yeah. But as far as like a patient appointment, we just don't have that information in here. So what she's saying is, if I want to know people who are due for a mammogram who do not have an appointment scheduled, and we wouldn't be able to do that here. We don't have the appointment status a field available anymore. Unfortunately, there's a lot of things that this was actually new with one of the 5.6 versions releases, that we could actually report on some EPM things, because there are a lot of things you want to know of my patients who are in a homeless status of homeless. You know, I want to know, you know, who's been getting what kind of care, what kind of diagnoses they have, that sort of thing. You could do that. Also, I want to bring out that you may have noticed at the bottom of most of the screens there's a little detail and summary button. You can create numerator-denominator reports. So you could say, show me all of my patients who are have a diagnosis of diabetes. That would be your denominator. That would be your bottom part of it. And then of those, show me all the ones who have a hemoglobin A1C greater than 6.5. Because those are the ones I want to target, or that have not had an HbA1c in the last 6 months, something like that. So you can say, give me just you can get the values, just a percentage, by saying, show me all my patients with that diagnosis, and then get the percentage that do not even have one. Now that's if you have a lab interface. If you don't have a lab interface, do you have one?
In the works still.
It's in the works, okay. So until that's available, you really wouldn't know, you know, what the values are, because the only way we report on them is ones that came in through, you know, that are loaded in your order table.
Okay, but sorry, one question, but without the lab table, without the lab interface, can you know who has actually done it, not knowing the values? Can you actually know who actually had one done?
Who actually had a lab done? Sure.
Yeah, like an HbA1c that had it done, whether or not we see the result. Can we do that with this without the interface?
Without the interface, you could see who's had one ordered and the status, whether it's completed or not. So certainly you could do that. So that would again be reporting off of templates, because when you order those tests, it's actually going into a template, into the orders table, to say these are the ones, you know, that we know about. So that would be going back to templates. Now you have to know the code for HbA1c, which I know is 865 something, but I can't remember. I think maybe 86543, something like that. You might have to look in file maintenance to see what that code is. And when we're ordering them, we may not be ordering them by, we're ordering them by the, I think the Next Gen Compendium code. So,
can you show that to me, please?
I'm sorry?
Can you show that to me right now, please?
Yes. Actually, if you like, just give me control here. It might be easier for me to go try to find this and let you know what's going on here. Take control, all right. So I'm going to go out to File Maintenance and find out what that code is by going into Master Files, EHR, and they're all, I think the order tests are really where you're getting this. I'm sorry, Next Gen Compendium, sorry, wrong table. Order Compendium, where is it? It must be down here. Oh, there it is, Next Gen Test Compendium. If I look for a test description of hemoglobin A1C, there it is, and it's probably this NG, I think that's the one you're actually ordering. I'm going to write that one down, NG 001453. Did I get that? 001453. Or it could be the 121020. One of those, I'm not sure which one.
No, it's the 1453 order.
I think that's the one probably that you're ordering it. Because I believe that when you are ordering it, you're ordering it. Now, is that it's not an in-house lab, is it? It's when you're sent out, right?
No, yeah, we send it out. It's not an in-house test, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm pretty sure if we open back up that Mary test, that when those labs are ordered, and I'm just going to quickly check to confirm that I'm going to go into regular family practice, so easier to find it there, that when you are doing an order, I think it's going by the compendium code, but let's just look over here under order management. I'm sure she's got things out here. And when you're ordering something like, okay, we don't have that one in here, but we have some others, like a CBC, what's the code that's being, it's not capturing a code at all. Oh, okay. Well, that's different then. I thought it was capturing our NTC codes or any of the others. You're in culture. Is that capturing the code? Not doing it. Interesting. Okay. Then where we are ordering them, we're just going to look over here under SOAP. And some of it, of course, would depend on how your doctors are going to order things. If they're doing it from here, I think they're getting probably the codes. If they do it up here, just curious to know what happens. Yeah, I just pick one from here. Hemoglobin A1C. Let's just pick that. Of course, I don't have a diagnosis, so just add something on there. Diabetes, that'll be good. There you go. Save, close. Click that again. I just want to see what code it puts in there, if any. Place the order. It is not putting the code in. Oh, there it is. Yeah, it is. It is that NG code. Okay. So it is that NG code is what you would be reporting on then. I thought so. The others, I think, may have been entered as in-house codes and might not have been set up with the coding for them, but most of them, I knew most labs were doing that. So that's what you're going to report on, is those that have that value, and then we might be able to show the result, which was actually under either the interp or, let me look back at that, it's under this one, which is, I think we're actually out of there now, sorry. Go back up here to, we got out and back in, view, show field names again. There you go, now. Yeah, if I saw that. It would be these fields right here, OBS interpretation and OBS value. OBS interpretation, yeah, and Interp and ops value. It'll be in one of those, and I couldn't tell you for sure which one it'd be in, probably in the ops value. But yeah, so you could create that report, say, show me all my patients, and since any diagnosis for diabetes could have been used, you might be going in here, generate that report by practice, and find it under your templates. And you're looking again for the order table. Here it is. Sorry. And you're going to look for the ACT code, and we're going to filter by that. And we're going to also look at the OBS. We might do the order date too, which would be under actually date completed. Yeah, we might could do that. I want to do that. It's completed date. There it is. And then the OBS value and OBS interp will be further down. OBS value, and then OBS interp. One of these two should have it in there. There it is. Good. Those are the ones you want to pull in. Also, like to tell you, it's supposed to have a record. If you're doing something real simple, that one's real good. Latest value by encounter date. Probably want the latest value. So that's one of those where you do the latest value. That helps. And then go to the filters. Oh, I need to do my diagnosis too. Sorry. Diagnosis. We're going to pull in all the patients who have a diagnosis. In the 250 range is probably the easiest way to do it.
He has to come over there. The computer.
And just pull all of them over here.
I'll tell him.
Okay? Yeah. And then go to your filter. So I want if the ACT code is equal to, and this is going to be that NG code, NG 001453, and I think NG had to be capitalized. Sorry. So if it'll let me now. If it doesn't let me, then it's going to be lowercase. I think it has to read it then. I think I've run into that before. It's not case sensitive. And if you want to do the completed date, by, you don't have to do that. But OBS interpretation, we just want to know the value. Yeah, we just want to know that. So we're not going to filter those, but we just, don't do that. Just don't do that. Okay, there we go. Okay. And then we'll go back to columns. We can do that. So we want to pull in who the patient is, gender maybe, I don't know if you need that. And then I want to know their the code, the completed date, its interpretation and value. I also want to know what their diagnosis is, diagnosis description, and I might move that one up. So you can move these, rearrange the order of them. Yeah. And say, show me where that code was, on what date, and the value. We'll see how that one works out. And I hope it didn't crash on me. I think it just hang it up for a second. There you go. Well, okay. So you've got their diagnoses, they're all diabetes ones, and you've got that ACT code completed and valued. Maybe, there's completed dates.
Yeah.
So, see, you guys are not entering the values then, which is not unusual. But at least you would know who's had one and who hasn't. Kind of make you wonder, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So it may just be because you haven't completed them. Maybe better than that would be to put in there which ones have been ordered.
For now, because, yeah.
Yeah, I think maybe that would be better because ordering them, is good, but unless you go back into that table and say, yeah, I received that result and here it is, then you wouldn't have it in there. But you would at least have that. So we could just go back in here and say those are not the fields we needed on the order table. We can, we still need the ACT code, of course. We can get rid of those others, though, and do, because they're not really going to show you. We can have completed date out there if you saw it there, but I think probably ordered. order date. We've got order encounter date. That should get updated every time, so we'll put that one in, but I think there's still a signal fields interpreting value, but just the ordered date, I think, is in here. Ordered date. There we go. Now we'll go back over to our, I think our filters should still be okay. We're interested in that one code. Go back over to the columns and say, description at code, yep, and ordered and encounter date. There you go. Might be the same. See what that pulls up. If you go back and filter too many times, it really kind of gets messy. And again, we're getting repeated patients, and we said that latest value only, but I guess since they were blank, wasn't giving them. Okay. Some of them didn't even get an ordered date. Interesting. Well, that's when you go in. No, when you order it, that's what it should be. Oh, it's bringing in even if the, okay, they were seen. Margaret Alexander was seen on all these dates, but when was it ordered? You really just want the order date. You don't care how many times she's been seen. That's what's bringing in that encounter date. That could have been any other order. Other orders that were done on her were done on those dates, but we really want to know just about these. So I'd take out the order encounter date, because that's other orders that it's bringing in there. So take out that. Go down here. We don't need the encounter date. We just need the order date. That should do it. Hopefully. It's a little testy at times, but it is nice when you can just, find out who your target population is for a study or reporting that you need to do. And again, we've still got duplicates, but I think that's because it's pulling in all those dates for other tests as well. We said just give us the one for the hemoglobin A1C. So let's look at this patient here. Actually, it shows it's been ordered all those times. That seems an awful lot, doesn't it? It was ordered on 2011-09-24, but it's still listed in there, perhaps because it's in her encounter. We have that act code. Interesting. Not sure why it's duplicating them. But it's hefty at times. The point is you get in here and you play with it until you get the right things. You go back and filter some. Just, be aware. I think we did go back under our, and you could do sorting by patient. That might at least get you, give me the group by last name, first name, something like that. That might help you. And then do it's an ascending order. So at least you have the patients grouped together, for one time. But the should have left out any duplicates. Latest value by encounter date. Latest value by. Maybe we need modify better. Let's see what that brings.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm thinking that might work better. But I don't think I had another column there.
She says that I requested yesterday, and they want to find it.
Yeah,
It's okay, we could play around with it and figure out how to run the others. Okay.
Yeah. So knowing where to find the information in EHR is one of the hardest parts, but now you've seen how you can go and look at a template field and look for that. Diagnoses are pretty easy because they're, pretty predictable, and procedures are pretty easy. Medications are pretty easy. But, getting orders, anything reading off the templates, you have to really, especially order template, because it's a demographic template. It's there on every encounter. And I think that's why it's showing up multiple times. But that's the gist of it. I mean, there really is some good reporting you can do, and as I mentioned, you can do numerator, denominator reports. So if you just wanted to know, for example, the one here that's going to be to do when you do your summary report first. I want to do a summary report and call it all patients. Oops, sorry. Got my caps long enough. All patients. Okay, and that's going to, you're going to have to give it a criteria, which would be under patient. Just, it's going to be all of them. You don't have to put any real criteria in there. Just include all patients. And actually, I'd say just last name not equal blank. That way you've got it, okay? So last name not equal to blank, that, as long as we put something in there. And then you could do for your add sub-report, which is going to be your numerator, you could say males. Or males greater than 60, 50. Maybe you want to do your PSA reporting here. Who's eligible, something like that. So show me who my males are that are greater than 50, and then I define that, and that's going to be age greater than 50. And gender is male. Okay. And then say, okay. That should give you a numerator denominator. Has to read through all the records and find out how many patients there are, how many are males greater than 50. Or if you want to know what percentage are homeless, you could have done that. And then even if you just get the statistics here, which is really all it'll give you the total count and the percentage and the number of records found, you can still go back and get the detailed records. If it ever runs. Okay, there it is. Okay, male greater than 50 is 1,496 out of your total population of 46,371. So it says it's 3.23%. That looks like awfully, that looks wrong, doesn't it? That's not 3%.
Let's do the math.
No, yeah. 14 to 46 is going to be about 30. It's putting the decimal in the wrong place. It's about 32%, I think.
No, I think that's right.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm reading
46,000. Yeah, 46,000.
1,000. I thought that was 46,000.
Yeah.
That lower number is so tiny, I thought it was a 4-digit number. It's a 5-digit number. Okay. Yeah, that's about 3.2%. And then you could go back into it, so you know that. You could go back in and say, and now give me the report list.
Those people.
Detail. I'm sorry. No, sorry. Just do report list. There you go. And all patients or
the males.
The males greater than 50.
Oh,
say, yeah, give me that one. Say, okay. And then we'll give you that list.
That's cool.
Or should. Except I've got too many columns listed, so it's going to give way too much information. So yeah, you can do that percentage, and then you can run and get the exact list. So if we got 1,600 patients, we really don't want to wait for that report to run. But that's the idea. So you can run those numerator denominators if you need to give statistical reporting to anybody that's providing funding for you or whatever. You can do that. And I have sent you the report catalog. Actually, it's not giving me the details there after all. Should have. So what is the report list? But I don't want all that on it. I know last name, first name, date of birth. And it's the report list. Should have given it to me. I think that's what we do if I remember right. Maybe I'm doing it wrong here. Detail's what I want. I'm sorry, detail. That's, all right.
Anything, but she just showed how you can get a number.
Detail should have been, here we go.
The male.
Madeline, there we go.
Of all the patients.
So there's all your males greater than 50 in your practice. Okay?
Look whose name is first. Tichani.
Alphabetically, that's who it is. All right? So make use of this. Make use of the document that I sent you. It is a good guide. Some of the screenshots say are using it for 5.5, but there wasn't that much difference between 5.5 and 5.6. I will tell you just at a real quick glance, one last thing I want you to know about is there is a thing in here called logical grouping. And it's really more advanced, but the idea with logical grouping is if you've already set some criteria, like here are my diabetics and here are my hypertensives, you can do, like 2 things there and say, of that population, this and this, give me this other value. So it's like and you can do and or. So you have to have selected those criteria and you move them down here and you can say it's an and or it's an or and basically do a little more complex reporting. I think there's some examples of that in the book as well.
Okay. So Bob should have that email by now, right?
Yeah, he should have that email by now. All right?
Okay, thank you.
all. Have a good day.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.